And finally, it all comes down to this. The National 2 West title race is going to the wire with Clifton in pole position for promotion to National 1. Both they and Camborne secured bonus point wins in round 25, but neither of the title candidates had it their own way. For Clifton, despite wrapping up the bonus points in the first half away at already relegated Bourneville, they only found themselves 24-23 to the good just after the break. But 3 tries in a 10-minute window saw the league leaders take the game away from their hosts as they secured a 50-30 success in the Midlands. As for Camborne, they were trailing 21-14 on 43 minutes against Devonport Services at home. But similar to Clifton, they were able to power clear of the side bottom of the table to record a 43-26 victory, and it means Camborne have won all 13 games at home this season. So just to bring up the table as it stands going into the final day, 3 points is the gap between Clifton and Camborne, and the Lavender and Blacks know victory at Station Road on the final day of the season against 11th placed Exeter University will clinch the title. As for Camborne, they head to Cheshire to face 12th place Macclesfield, needing Exeter to do them a favour in Bristol if the door is to be opened in this title race. But whatever the outcome for the Cherry and Whites, Steve Larkins' troops have had a brilliant campaign. So to look ahead to the final day of the season, Clifton were able to give us a sense of how they are feeling ahead of what could be a new slice of history for the Lavender and Black. So here is a quick chat with Director of Rugby, Matt Salter.
Look, obviously, it's quite interesting because you look across the leagues, and I'm not sure if I'm right in this exactly, but there's not many coming down to the final weekend to decide that promotion and relegation. I think this weekend is obviously significant, but kind of ourselves and Camborne have been out in front for a little while now, and it's felt like if anyone slipped up a little bit, and Camborne obviously lost the Luctonians, that it would let the other one in. So I think there's been quite a bit of pressure week in, week out for the last few weeks, and ultimately we've got that pressure again this weekend. But it's something that's been there for a few weeks, I think. So that's why it probably came down a little bit to that game against us and Camborne as well. So as I say, we understand the gravity of the weekend, but also it's been like that for the last few weeks, really. Yeah, our start to the season certainly didn't put us in a position necessarily where we thought we'd be at the end of the season, but since that day at Hinckley where we lost to a good side, but we felt we weren't where we could be, we've gone on a significant run of games with that one loss, which I think it's credit to the boys, credit to the. We always knew we had a good squad, and I think I underestimated, and maybe we underestimated just how long it takes a little bit to gel. And I think those first 3 games were that process, but we also had some tough games. The first game of the season, the only team we haven't beaten is Exeter, and we drew with them in the first game. So I think those first 3 games were tough. We probably underestimated that, but we also underestimated how much bringing a new squad together will take a little bit of time. And since that point, I think we've just improved. We hope, ultimately we finish it the way we want to finish it, but the journey that the guys have been on has been amazing. And as a group, they've been there through the dark months, the wet months, the sunny months, the pre-season, all those kind of things. And I think we probably, need to remind ourselves that that's what we play sport for, and how, lucky we are to be part of a group that go on that journey. And I do try and remind the boys that, me being a bit older, that they're very lucky to sort of be part of such a journey. And hope, you want to finish it now well. And I think that's probably, hopefully, which is in the mindset of all the boys, that league titles don't come around very often. You can win cup games, you can win various one-off fixtures, you can do league titles, and I think you can see from winning the league, it doesn't really lie about where you are. And I think that's what I want the boys to do, is just take that opportunity to, when you get an opportunity to win something with such gravity as this, don't miss it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, we talked about kind of the pressure and the high standards you set this season, Matt. Does that kind of also sharpen the focus going into this one against Exeter and potentially going into the game against Bourneville a couple of weeks ago? Obviously, you were probably on cloud nine after that win against Camborne, and people might like myself are saying, Clifton are in pole position now; it's in their hands. But have you, because of the nature of this season, where you guys have won, Camborne have won, has that just helped kind of keep the players' mind sharp and go, as you say, try and finish this season as strong as possible?
Yeah, I guess sort of in my mind, I thought after the Camborne game that if we get past Bourneville, we'll be all right because um, that kind of atmosphere, you go an away game for them. There was a lot of players. It was their last time playing for Bourneville and the scenario they were in. And I think you saw from both teams that we were very close at half time. Camborne were losing to Devonport down there. Those games could be really, really tricky to navigate if you're just trying to bring it to that last game at home. So I felt we get past Bourneville. But now I sit in this week, I'm just as worried about this week now. And I've come up with my own reasons why this is going to be just as difficult. And I think hopefully that keeps us on the edge. And it is that question of, our why has to be greater. And I think hopefully with the league title at stake, that the boys will be where they need to be and not beyond where they need to be. There's a real, as you sit here as a coach, sort of finals games, it's balancing that emotional pressure with your performance. And, you have to try and treat it as much of a normal game as possible with that mindset of what's at stake. And I think that's where we need to get the balance right this week. We trained Tuesday last week, which gave us an opportunity just to cover off some bits. This week we can then treat as a fairly normal week leading into a game.
Yeah, and just a couple more from me, Matt. You said they're kind of treating the game as normal, and I was reading an interview that Luke did in the rugby paper over the weekend. And he said, we have to kind of treat this game as normal because you don't know what Exeter University can turn up. They've got so many different options, haven't they, in terms of player personnel? They love to play rugby, they love to throw the ball around. Their university book season has come to an end now, so you're probably having to prepare for various different scenarios as well, which probably goes into that focus that we just talked about.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that Exeter play a certain way, and as you say, you probably described some of the way you'd expect a student side to play. I think if they come with what they may perceive as their strongest group or slightly less than that, they will play in a manner that Exeter University will play. I think we can expect that. It just by personnel, that could be of a higher standard of that way of playing, and we have to be prepared for that. I think playing them probably the first game of the season when Bucks hasn't started as well gives us the mindset and ability to know that, if that strongest side come on the day, then we have probably faced that and we are aware of the challenge that brings. But I think almost we've shown that when we play the better sides, it almost heightens our mindset. And I think, we're definitely not going to underestimate what's coming this weekend. I think that's probably quite a good way to finish the season.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And Matt, just finally, obviously, the title race is still going on. Camborne is still there. You won't be just disregarding that as much as some people in the media might be saying it might be done and dusted. But if you were to get the job done on Saturday at Station Road in front of your own supporters, I can imagine the crowd might be very similar to what we saw against Camborne a couple of weeks ago. Just how much would it mean to you guys collectively to write a bit of new history for what is such an historic club?
Yeah, I mean, everyone says, "Oh, did you start the season out to get promoted?" In all honesty, no. We started the season out to bring a great group of players together and go on a journey with them. And it sounds a bit cliched, but with Camborne doing very well, we didn't know this was a possibility, and certainly not after the first few games. I've been at the club a long time, and maybe I haven't done it justice that we haven't won something. Do you know what I mean? But there's been a lot of teams in this league that have remained in this league for a long time, and this opportunity hasn't come around in all the years I've been here. And I think you can see from people surrounding the club that it's an important thing for us to do. To be successful, and it almost ratifies the approach we've taken this year and the way we've gone about things. That if we do finally get over the line. I think it sort of vindicates, an approach we've taken this year that we hope has been, one, enjoyable, two, has put the journey at the heart of what we do, and ultimately, if the prize at the end rewards that journey, then I think it's a great accolade for us.
So there we have it. Many thanks to Clifton for setting up that chat with Matt earlier this week. But will it be them or will it be Camborne who go on to lift the National 2 West title? Both of these teams have been the best teams in this division all season long, but it comes down to 80 minutes of rugby on Saturday to see who will clinch promotion to National 1, and we cannot wait to find out how it all unfolds. And perhaps 6th place Cinderford might like to be in that sort of position this time next year. The Forest of Dean club came down from National 1 12 months ago, and while promotion has been out of their reach this term, exciting times are afoot in Gloucestershire. Work is already underway at their Dockham Road home, with the club installing a state-of-the-art 3G pitch for the 2025-26 season and a £1.35 million project which is set to transform facilities at the club. The upgrade is being backed by Cinderford president Peter Bell, and the investment is set to be a massive benefit not only to Cinderford in terms of the rugby side of things, but of course the wider community. And we'll be hoping to speak to Peter during the summer to check in on the progress with the club, hoping that the pitch will be ready by the start of August. But for now, here is Cinderford boss Clive Stuart-Smith to tell us more. Exciting times to come for Cinderford. We've just had a great little prelim chat, haven't we, about what's to come for the club over there, over the summer, really, and looking forward to next season. But if you don't mind, let's just start with this season, Clive, for Cinderford. And we've said multiple times this season on the show that National 2 West has been arguably the most competitive division in National League Rugby this season, and added to the fact that you guys and Taunton are at this level this year. So how, as a club, how have you found the campaign in National 2 West this year?
Yeah, I think it's been it's probably what we expected. I think we've been in this position before, where we've hit relegation and then obviously been wanting to get promoted, immediately, which has always been a target of ours. But like you said there, it's an ultra competitive league. Where are we? We're probably not quite as high as we feel we have the potential to be. But the stats don't really lie. They say it as it is. We've been more successful than we haven't, but we haven't necessarily been consistent enough to deliver, a promotion season, or being the kind of top 1 or 2 or 3, which we're obviously looking to be for next year.
Yeah, because, listening to you, Clive, it sounds like you guys have probably learned a lot about yourselves during this season, because if you do kind of look at the first half of the campaign, if I'm right in saying, you'll be able to correct me, you stitched a really good run of form together. I think you went away to Clifton, the only team to beat Clifton at Station Road this year. You got the better of Camborne as well before Christmas. So signs are there that this side this Cinderford team can absolutely challenge towards that promotion spot again, right up towards top spot. But I guess, as you said, it's about sustaining that, which is such a challenge in National 2 West.
It is, and I think we were, everyone has challenges, and we're very aware of that. We wanted to keep the core of our squad together over the past 2 years. Just, it's been that cycle, and again, every club hits that cycle where players hit a certain age demographic or family or work, or a multitude of factors come into it. So we were in an element of a rebuild that often takes place when you get relegated, and often that is because, I suppose, maybe you are papering over cracks, and eventually then when things don't work out, relegation hits, which allows a reset. Ultimately, the club want to be back in a National 1 and looking up as well. I think that's a bit of a mission statement for us, that we're not just a National 1 club and happy and content. We are looking to drive our standards as high as possible. And we'll come onto the pitch, I suppose, a bit later on in terms of what that could bring. But from where the season is initially, you always want to we're not here saying we want to be a top 6 team. You ultimately want to win every weekend, which puts you in a position to win the league, and that's something that we haven't moved away from. It's the same with our last game of the season. We want to make sure we finish as high up the table as we possibly can do. We've got a very young age profile, particularly across our back line. A lot have moved up significantly from a level, and we weren't expecting them to a big group, more than a handful of that match day squad to come in and deliver promotion winning, and being at a National One standard, because I think that's a really important point, really. That the team that wins have to be a National One standard. You can't just be a National Two, because otherwise you just yo-yo up and down. So what we are ultimately trying to deliver is being a sustainable club with the potential to actually sustain in the league we're in and not be that team, because it's a nightmare to plan. But we've given a lot of experience to those 18. Again, average age of the back line was 21 at one stage, and this is men's rugby. We've dipped into the kind of the uni bucks resource as well, and bled a lot of players through, which will be far stronger as we move into next season. With some, obviously some key additions in key places. It's creating, I suppose, or building on the culture that we've got now, and people want to be here. Yes, it's rugby. Yes, it's competitive, but the more they enjoy being here, the more opportunity we got. And that, you can't run away from the pitch. We've all turned up here. I mean, I'm here now. We've turned up here now on a Thursday, and we couldn't train. It's been that bad, and I'm not saying that's unique to us. It's not. Everyone has those different challenges, but particularly in and around this area, it's been a massive factor in terms of enjoyment side of things.
Yeah, so let's get into it, Clive. Obviously, it's such an exciting time for Cinderford. Obviously, it hit the local news. I think it was around February time when it was all kind of confirmed that you guys will be getting a new 3G pitch. Hopefully, you said off there as well. Hopefully, it'll be all sorted by the start of August as well. So for people who don't know, Cinderford will be getting a £1.35 million investment going into new facilities at Dockham Road, very much centred around this new 3G pitch. New floodlights as well, I think, are getting installed. And President Peter Bell is very much behind this project. We did want to get him on for a chat, but he's currently enjoying his holiday at the moment, so we'll speak to him over the summer.
Probably a fancy dress, yeah. Probably a fancy dress, Mickey Mouse maybe, or one of the two. But yeah, what a great guy. I think every club has someone of note, but Pete is he played here. It means more than. It's not just an investment. It's a genuine, project that he is the most passionate person that you come across. And like I said at the beginning, it's just for the right reasons, which puts not just a Cinderford on a map. We are on a map. It's actually securing our long-term future, and so building out longevity. Because I've seen it with a lot of friends or a lot of people I used to play with. Their clubs are kind of folding. They're folding for a number of different reasons, but actually, if you can't have children all the way through to women and girls, through to the senior teams and the social teams, then yeah, we ultimately do lack that. It's quite rare actually that you've got a facility, a pitch bang in the middle of a town.
Yeah,
and that's the bit that we've probably not got right over the years, is the fact that it's not really been a hub. There's amazing facilities here, but it's not been that hub that it should be, because that, and the potential there, again, like you mentioned, all the different aspects of it from a commercial perspective, all the way through to an attendance point of view, all the different facilities it's got. There are other plans as well, moving further down the line, in what else we can actually have in and around the pitch, which again is another exciting layer to, the first step. But yeah, it ultimately comes down to keeping and growing our community sport base. You can play football on it. We will play football on it. I think the rugby group are pretty happy about that as well. But it's very much a rugby first, facility built for rugby. I think it's an important thing, to say. And actually, yeah, the objective is kind of grassroots to greatness. We're desperate to have someone that starts from picks up a rugby ball for the very first time and then goes on to play for England or Wales or Scotland or wherever through Cinderford as a pathway. So it's very much a sports hub to bring people together, with rugby being the focal point, and tapping into the history that has gone alongside it. You look at some of the names that have played for us as a club. Certainly in my time, the Sam Underhills, the Josh Adams, the Callum Sheedys, the list goes on. Even when you take it back to the Andy Deacons of the world, who are kind of legends when it comes to that side of things. The Henry Trinders, the Freddie Burns. There's a huge wealth of talent that's come through this in a slightly different model. Whereas now we can kind of hopefully create our own.
Yeah, and you've kind of overlapped it really nicely, Clive, because I'm going to say it shows the ambition of the club as well. Obviously, people who watch the show will know Cinderford were in National One for a fair bit of time before coming down last year. So I guess having this facility in place is another sign that Cinderford want to be ambition. They want to aim high, but they want to do it in their own way.
Yeah, and that is a clear target as well. I think there's, I mean, obviously everyone has different ways of speaking about these things, but we know that we've got the capacity here, particularly with the strength around us. With Gloucester just being a short distance away, Hartpury are obviously flying in the championship at the moment. We do feel like we're just in a really strong position to be that next layer. But how we get there, I think, is a really important thing. So I think the challenge for us is to get back to where we feel we should be, but doing it with a core of Cinderford that ultimately is bled through the mini and juniors. That will take a bit of time. It's not going to happen next year from where the players actually sit. The majority of our players currently are not living in Cinderford. And that's something that we do want to change, where that you want to play for your local club and then move up, and that's something that we're also really passionate about. And there's some good stories already. Players that have been ever present in our United group, so our kind of second team senior group, in the space of a year, have moved into a kind of national league and moved on from us and moved on again. And actually now we've got a group that, there's going to be a couple of Premiership signings, having been at Cinderford kind of 3 or 4 years ago, which again is just exactly the place we want to be, and taps back into that grassroots to greatness story that hopefully we can open the net a little bit wider rather than just rely on 1 or 2 individuals doing it. We want a group every year to be pushing on.
And just to kind of round things off, obviously you guys played your first 15 game on the original pitch against Bourneville a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, you got a fantastic win there. So, kind of, what's kind of the situation now for you guys? Obviously, I believe work is going on at the moment, but as you're at the club now, but in terms of welcoming Old Red Cliffians to your place on Saturday, how excited is everyone by that, and to kind of sign off with a victory this season?
Yes, and we did talk a lot around the history. And Pete, rightly so, came and spoke to the players, and they love it when he kind of comes in and speaks exactly his mind, which again is something that we often promote. There is an open door. We need a kind of an open door policy that everyone should be able to say exactly how they feel. So there's no distance between what happens on the field and off the field, and that's something that we've really got to push forward for next time. So it was a historical day, absolutely, and those players that played in that day, they will look back on it and they'll be pretty privileged to be involved in that game. It was brilliant that we played very well, and we scored some amazing tries, which is exactly how you want to kind of finish. So we are actually, and it's not happened for a long time, but we are moving our last home game to Berry Hill, which are our friends just round the corner. And so we're just for for the final game of our season. And the reason why we wanted to do that is we wanted to have the new pitch ready for the beginning of pre-season, or certainly in and around that time, instead of potentially not being able to hit the league campaign with a pitch, which means that we miss out on the pre-season element. So that was a very sensible reason why we've accelerated the pitch build, ultimately getting that in place. But there's still a level of excitement because, as you get every single year, players are leaving, retiring, finishing. There's a whole host of reasons why that becomes really important. And also, I think the Forest is an important area, much as though there's rivalries, and that will always be the case. Our Stags team actually played, so our third team senior played Berry Hill the other day. We're kind of trying to, again, with a facility that might open up to the whole of the Forest. It's exactly what we want to do, is kind of not build bridges because they're already there, but actually all work together to, we want rugby to be a thriving sport within the Forest of Dean.
So many thanks to Clive for his time on Wednesday. As we've reiterated, exciting times to come for Cinderford. And as we say, we are hoping to catch up with Peter during the summer. He's currently away on holiday and enjoying a well-deserved break after being so integral in getting the plans around the new pitch off the ground. So as we say, big plans and big things to come for Cinderford, certainly over the summer and going into next season. But in terms of the here and now, Cinderford will be playing their round 26 game against Old Redcliffians, aiming to try and finish as high as they can, which could even be fourth in the table, but that position is currently occupied by Loughborough students, who may in fact be targeting the bronze medal position when they go to Taunton on Saturday. Martin Webdale's side have won the last 3 and are 3 points behind third place Taunton, so there is certainly something to play for at Veritas Park, with the Titans looking to back up round 25's entertaining 49-47 success over Hinckley. Fifth placed Hornets have had a fantastic season themselves, and they'll be aiming to sign off in similar fashion when they visit Redruth. And just as a side note, it won't be the last rugby played at Redruth over the next 2 weeks, as the Recreation Ground is hosting a big charity event on May 4th, all in aid of Rugby for Riley. The event has been organised by Scott Lake, the father of young Riley, who was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, a muscle wasting condition with no current cure. The rugby community has rallied around past events like this, and it is set to be another mega day a week on Sunday. 2 games of rugby are on offer. Loads of National League Rugby names will be involved, such as Plymouth Albion boss Ryan Lamb and Redruth director of rugby Nigel Hamley, as well as ex-professionals such as Stefan and Dylan Armitage, Tom Varndell, who is no stranger to the National Leagues as well as Ethan Waller, plus live music and entertainment across the course of the day too. So all the details are there. Do go to Rugby for Riley on Facebook for more information on how you can purchase tickets and support what is a brilliant cause, and absolutely brilliant work from Scott as well to once again pull this together. Just bringing it back to the rest of the action in round 26 in National 2 West, the bottom 2 sides meet and will be keen to end the campaign on a positive note when Devonport Services entertain Bourneville. Well, there'll be a new name in charge of Luctonians next term after the club confirmed current boss Ryan Watkins will be departing Mortimer Park after Saturday's meeting with Hinckley, so Lux will be hoping to give Ryan the perfect send-off by recording a 5th straight win. And of course, the title race, Clifton at home to Exeter University and Camborne away at Macclesfield. Clifton in the driving seat, as we've already said. 8 straight wins for the table toppers, 1 defeat in their last 19 games at Station Road. So can they add 1 more victory to that tally on the biggest weekend for the club in their recent history? Obviously, Exeter will be no mugs when they arrive at Station Road. They have a quality squad to choose from, and it'd be interesting to see which team arrives in Bristol for that game, but the waiting is almost over to see who will be crowned champions. Will it be Clifton or will it be Camborne? We can't wait to find out.